Hi guys, it's Belle here, and in today's video I'm going to share a flip through of this recently completed journal. This was a custom order for someone and they wanted a sort of more adult feeling Halloween journal, so they wanted it slightly spooky or creepy, witches, cats, bats, cauldrons, all that good stuff. This is a hardback journal with 3 signatures. It's 6 by about 8.5 with a 3-inch spine, and it has the chunker removable dangle on the side that we will come back to. I actually used the lace fabric and the Tim Holtz fabric that I was recently gifted in some Happy Mail as the cover, and I actually inked up. So the kit that I picked had bursts of like a burnt orange in it, so I wanted to pick up that orange, but I didn't want it really bright in your face. So I actually inked up the Tim Holtz fabric, which took a lot of courage. I used a lot of inks. I used sprays of vintage photo, black soot. I used some mica. You can't really see it very well, but hopefully when this person gets it home and has it in the light, there will be little sparkles because there's mica. And then I put the skull fabric over the top. It's just held closed with this absolutely stunning mottled inked, I didn't do this, I brought it this way, sari silk. It's got greens and blacks and oranges and reds and yellows, and then I doubled it over and stitched down it, making it a bit stronger. On the cover here, we have one of the images from the kit that I've also varnished to make it sturdier. I've used laces. We've got some Tim Holtz resin bones. I've used some crypt paste on there. I've used alcohol inks to bring in like colors but then distress them on these brads. This has been embossed in gold. This is embossed in vintage photo glaze, and then also some green. Then we've got the word fright. We've got all sorts of different cheesecloths, and I've also used crackle paste on here, and then some alcohol inks, and I've added some stamping with the spiders. Pre-warning you all, there are a lot of spiders in this, not real ones, but spiders in the journal itself. As I said, it's got 3 signatures. It has so many threads, tops and bottoms. When this goes to its home, if the person who ordered it doesn't like the threads, they can cut them a bit shorter, but I wanted to leave them for that grungy effect, and it wouldn't be a Belle journal without fabric on the side, guys. So if you are newer to my channel, you won't know that for most of the channel's history, I basically made journals and did flip throughs of them. The majority of my videos before 2 years ago were journal related, and then over the last 2 years I've been kind of doing other things, and I've made a few journals but not as many. Like, I used to make them almost monthly, so it was a lot of fun doing this, and yeah, I'm really feeling the journal vibe again. I'm very excited. On the inside we have this black thick fabric, and it's all kind of frayed at the bottom, and then I frayed it at the top. And I don't want to creep you out or anything, but it is supposed to be creepy. When it stands and you see all these, they kind of also reminded me of squish spiders, like the legs of them. I don't know. Again, sorry. So again, if you're newer here and you haven't watched my other journal videos, you won't know that I always name my journals. With a custom journal like this, the person who's requested the journal to be made has the opportunity to name it themselves or leave it up to me. This time it was left up to me. And this is, let me introduce you to Old Mother Peg, known locally as Peggotty. And this is old Mother Peg. I like to do a kind of story in my head with a lot of my makes. You would have seen that even with ephemera pieces and things, and there's a little bit of a story with this one. I like to think that she is the sinister witch in the woods, and her coven would be referred to as the Crows, and yeah, they were the scarier people. I kind of was getting Pendle Witch vibes, although I'm not saying the Pendle Witches were evil and sinister, but it was giving me that kind of vibes. So there is a lot of embossing. There is a lot of inking. There is a lot of all sorts in here. And this is one of the papers. I used two main kits, both by Gypsycraftery. I will leave a link to her Etsy down below. I used her Sinister Witch and her creepy Halloween kit, and I mixed and matched them. And also I've done a lot of stamping. This is something I am loving doing on digital kits. So like the Halloween word and the spider is the stamping that I've put on it. These are ripped and torn and inked around, and I've used a lot of my faux tape in between. Again, if this is your first time seeing one of my journals, I always have my little tag with my logo and the name of the journal. So there we go. She's Old Mother Peg. So in here, let me pull all this out. I've actually got a little cat. It is embossed, but I've used the glaze. So you really have to get up close to see this kind of brownish tint. But it looks like the cat's sitting on top of this, almost like on top of a house. And I'm trying to think about what to put underneath to kind of make it stand up a little bit. So there we go. And in here we have this writing paper, and then a piece of there's the name tag, piece of ephemera. This has got, I have used crypt paste on here. I know it's not everyone's favorite. I love it. It's my favorite texture paste, and I thought it added to the creepy, more grown-up feel of this. Obviously Halloween, Samhain is to do with ancestors, so I had graves and things. I've backed them, everything's backed. I've done a lot of kind of extra weird stitching in places, and it has a bat on the back. We have a little quote here that says, by the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. But this is actually a little pocket. Now, all that's in here is this ghost train ticket that I've kind of inked, but I kind of like that sticking out. And then we have one of these ghosts. And then this is a magnetized pocket. I've actually signed it here. It's got stenciling and it is magnetized. Lots of stenciling throughout. There's more of that beautiful sari silk. In this pocket here, let me pull it all out. We've got Peg again. We've got a gold embossed spider. Lots of threads and bits. She's a little pocket in herself, and there's a tiny little bug in there, and yes, even that is backed. Then this opens up. As you can see, I've tried to use a lot of really grungy papers. We've got extra stitching and things again. This paper's really grungy. You can see the bubbles. There is a little pocket here where I've got some of these. These came from a scrapbook paper, and I thought this is either Peg's kind of adverts that she's handing out to people, or the ones that she's got, because, you know, she might need some beetles for her spells. And then this is actually from a Tracy Fox kit. I can't quite remember which one it is. It might be the hospital one, the infirmary one. It reminded me of a haunted house, so I've ripped and torn this edge. It's got splatters. It says Midnight Garden. It's got loads of beautiful, so much fabrics. And then, yeah, another spider. I've also used some vintage animal book page, and then circled around certain words that I thought were kind of creepy and stuff. So that says nest. We got a spider. Yeah. I know some of you really hate spiders and bugs, but it was a lot of fun to play. We've got this Samhain New Ways, because that is the Celtic festival. That's the Celtic name for Halloween. That's been printed out on tea-dyed paper. We've got some bat stenciling with a little bit of gilding paste. Here we have a wax seal. I'm hoping that picks up. It's actually a witch's hat, a moon and a broom. and it's in browns and golds again, and some beautiful tea dye paper, some extra stenciling, some cheesecloth, and more grungy paper. This is vintage blah 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 graph paper that's been really dyed grungy, and yes, I've done some stitching on here. We've got this gorgeous scrapbook paper that's slightly metallic, and it's of snakes, and then a little pocket here. And firstly, the cobwebs themselves have been embossed with gold embossing powder, and there's some stenciling back there. And then in here we have one of the cards, a little cat. Now this is almost the spitting image of my Binks, except Binksy's eyes tend to be larger. But oh my goodness, I love this picture. Obviously I've put Halloween, got threads everywhere, got stitching, got stenciling. Some of the papers that I've backed the ephemera with were actually papers that I was spraying other things, like they were underneath things I was spraying, and I wanted to use them because they've got the mica, and it's this burnt sienna umber sort of colour. We've got some through here, some more, lots of fabric on here. This has got the stenciling, the mica spray too. Oh, and you all know I love working lately with acetate. I really started working more of it last year in creepy projects, and I thought I've made a lot of ephemera. I wonder what it would look like on pages. So I have used it on a few pages. There's one in each signature. Again, we've got some gilding on all these pieces. I've stitched. There's fabric on that side. You can see it on there too. I just love that. Whatever you put behind is going to affect how it looks. So I really hope you like that. Here we've got a little bat, and a lot of the scrapbook paper I also tea dyed, so it gives it this different kind of feel. This was actually a cutout from the bats that I was cutting out for the kit to work with. But again, I've used embossing, and it's the vintage photo one, and it gives it this mottled look, and there's some Tim Holtz fabric behind there. And in here we have another one of those adverts, soothsaying. They've all been splattered. They've got stenciling on the back. There's even a little spider. Again, I know some of you don't like spiders. I pre-warned. Then we have this creepy picture on the back there, lots and lots of threads. Love this paper. I found this in my stash. This is why when I'm inking or spraying or painting, I put papers underneath, tea dye paper, because then you find great papers. Just a bit of double stitching. This is a vintage book page, and it's all about bats. And then I've used some Tim Holtz washi. I love this washi on the side. And then we've got some writing paper. This has also been embossed with the vintage photo embossing glaze. Now, I remember a couple of years ago, I think I saw Priscilla at Release the Craft and do this. But if you use your heat tool, you can direct where the gloss goes. And I love doing that because you can get this kind of strange effect. So even though this is all embossed, some of the powder is more concentrated in certain areas, which I think gives dimension. This has also been embossed with the glaze, but obviously it's on black. So you get this kind of brown look to the bat, but it's very subtle. We've got some broomstick stenciling there, lots of ripping, lots of tearing, lots of black soot. Little page embellishment down here that says Bad Witch. Samhain beckons us to confront our shadows and embrace the darker aspects of ourself. So this is the middle of the signature. I've added stamping, and this is what it looks like. Here we have Old Mother Peg as well to invoke evil on. Now this pocket here, we've got a lot of grit paste, grit paste. Gives it an amazing texture. I've got a little raven down there, and then in here you can see it's an acetate with this beautiful pumpkin. A lot of these images are from Art House Whimsy. And then this is something I had in my stash. It says In Memoriam. It's been printed out on some fun paper. Can't remember what digital I got this from or whose, but it was in there. So I thought that was quite good because it's, you know, a death notification. And then I've put this teeth on the back of it because, you know, as they say, make sure your teeth, your toenail clippings, your nail clippings, your hair, make sure a witch doesn't get hold of it because it can be put in a spell. Got some more of the tape on here, and then I put the word danger in the moon. Some bat stenciling and lovely grungy paper. I love this whole bit. This bit is, I don't know, I love the layering of everything. So we've got some paper, scrap paper, an extra bit of pad, little bat, and it's got splatters, and then I've also stenciled under there, stitched around, some washi on the back, and that's the other side of that vintage bat page. Then we've got the word wicked, which has also been I've used, I think, gold on there as well as the vintage photo. 3 main colors of embossing powders that I used were green, like a vintage gold, and the vintage photo embossing glaze. This is all with the mica powders, so it sparkles. We got a little spider there too, and a little bat. More writing, frog, and some of my handmade paper tape. Now this is a lot of fun. So this is actually a piece of paper. I've got one here that it's just a piece of paper from, it's actually something I picked up in 2017 when I was in the States, and I've still got a few left in the pad. But I have embossed on this, I'm going to try and get this up. I have embossed on this in gold, green, and the vintage photo. And listen to this. It almost sounds like it's magnetized, and it's not, but it's so heavy with the weights. And then I stenciled through some of the bones, so that's there. So it's like a fabric flip, but it's a paper flip, and I really love how it has that sound of what's it called, a magnet without a magnet. You actually saw me make this. I will link the video where I made this, and I made it for this journal. So it is a double belly band. We've got, this is a vintage book page of spiders. Again, I'm sorry, but you know. And then it opens up, of course, and you can move it around the page. Let's put the spider back there. And then once we flip it over, we've got the other side. I can move this now. We've got the other side. I have added this. It just says glamour. It's you see the photo, I've put tracing paper over the top of it. Then we have this little piece, again all splattered there, and we can see the RIP. Then we have the little Tim Holtz piece, 13, and this is actually a stamp, and yes, it's another spider. And this opens up again. You may or may not have seen it, but this opens up for writing space. And then I just have this, it says memorandum, and again it was in my stash, and I thought it worked really well. There's writing space on the back, and I like the way the memorandum kind of sits out on the side. And then over here we have a pocket. This is one of the Tim Holtz moths that I love, and I've turned it into a little mini pocket. We have this little Samhain fortune you can write on the back. And then inside here, we've got a tag that came with one of the kits. That is just creepy. I can't even see her face. I may be looking at it and not seeing her face, but I can't see it, and it's freaking me out. There's stenciling on the back. And then we have this piece, and you can write there. I've left the back plain, but she can use it as she would like. And then as we turn it over, what I did was I positioned it in the book so that the snakes have this gold, but so does the spider. So you just kind of see the skull and the spider. I think that works so well. And then we have this page stenciling and more bats and little palm and all that stuff. Vintage graph paper, mottled paper. Again, just random stitching in places. Beautiful paper. This is a junk mail envelope that I've collaged. Inside is this skeleton I have stenciled as well, and there is the back. That is some of that mica that just catches the light. Oh, and then we've got this vintage kind of It's a vintage book page, and it actually says skull on there, which I thought was appropriate. You don't actually see the skull's face here. You just see the body, which I think is a bit creepier. This then flips out. You've got writing space. Another one of those bats has been embossed. This is a vintage book page, and it's got bats on it. We've got a bat on that side as well in colour. Can you see that? And then there's more stenciling, some washi, and a big giant bone. As you do. The back of that Samhain printable, gorgeous grungy pages. Sari silk. More stenciling with skull and crossbones. And on here I added the word witch potion. And then we have these spiders from this spider web. All this I added. And on the back, I added these. There's a little cobweb down there and the skull and crossbones. I just love adding now to digitals. On here, this is a beautiful crow. I actually added the stamp turn back now. And I added the two little crows. So we're on to signature 2 now. So we have another one of those pockets. There's a moth pocket in each signature. And again, I tried for the reds and the oranges. Look at that. I think it's stunning. Little tag from the kit. Again, I splattered on that and done some stenciling on the back. We then have Bat Mythology and Folklore that I've printed out on tea-dyed paper. I've also added, this is all about Samhain as well. I've added the cobweb up there. And then I've made a journaling card. It does... I've made a journaling card with one of these creepy images. Lots of crypt paste on here. Fabrics. Mysterious. Understood only by few. Only by few. Yes, splatters all over there. And on the back we got that cat again, and that's such a amount of mica. Again, it's where I was spraying. It works so brilliantly. So that's what I was on about. I feel like it's a more adult orange because it's more of a burnt orange, not a really bright in your face orange, although that's quite bright, but it's beautiful. Samhain correspondences, and then we have another magnetic belly band. Now this one doesn't come off the page, and I've actually put scrapbook paper behind this very, very, very creepy child. This is embossed, but it is also a tuck spot, so you can actually add something to that. This then opens up. It is magnetized. There is stenciling, and inside here from a vintage book page is the skeleton of a brown rat, and I've added some of my tape on there as well. So that goes in there. And talking about brown rats, I've got another vintage book page, but this is of black rats. A little litter. I mean, creepy. Well, I think it's creepy. I mean, I don't mind spiders. I wouldn't want these kind of spiders in my actual everyday, but rats are a whole different thing. Some more scrapbook paper that I have tea dyed. Just says Halloween and all that kind of thing. We've got a little ephemera piece. I love how that comes top and bottom. This is all Tim Holtz paper, and behind there I am being so brave with my Tim Holtz paper. Well done me. I'm giving myself a pat on the back for using it. I've really crinkled this paper and then stenciled all over it. We've got that rich orange there. So we have two pockets here. We have this one down here, and then we have this little pumpkin up here, which again I have put crypt paste all around. In the top here we have this beautiful tag that I added this word, relax, it's only magic, stenciled on the back. If you know me, on the back of my ephemeras I love to not only put tea dye paper rather than just leaving it plain, but I love to stencil, put embellishments, do things too. That's what I like to do. We've got the broomsticks on here, and we have peculiar potions surprise effect guaranteed. It's got little snakes as well, which I love. Got this little Halloween tag with bat and splatters, and we have a little grave tombstone that has been embossed in places, not everywhere. I love playing with that kind of mottled effect of embossing. Vintage book page, which I did tea dye, and it's got bats all over it. Look, we've got the mouse-eared bat and the eastern pipstraw and the fish-eating bat. Lots of bats. And then the other side was bugs, which I just loved. And there's lots of reds and greens, which are also colours that I've picked up in the journal. Reds, greens, greys, blacks, oranges, all those kind of good colours. This is packed full. It is a cobweb paper bag that's been inked all around. So we'll start at the bottom first. This one, the images in the kit, we've got crypt paste on here as well. Oh, I love the feel of that. And then this opens up. It is magnetized, all stenciled inside. We have a little tag in here, some witches enjoying a bonfire. And then that just pops back in. Then in this pocket we have Old Mother Peg again. And again, stenciled splatters, all of that. That really creepy witch. I am a witch, a real house haunting, broom riding, cauldron staring witch. I've ripped and torn, I've double stitched, I've added fabric, I've splattered. We've got one of those bats. Can you see? I'm really hoping it's picking up the slight brown. In fact, this one's got a little bit of green on its wing too. And some stenciling. Then we have a side pocket here. And we have the bigger cauldron on there. And we've got the little song that, oh my gosh, why have I forgotten her name? The younger sister in Hocus Pocus. I remember it soon. You know, Come Little Children, Take Me Away, that one. Got more of my tape, more splatters, embossed bat. We've got Sarah. That's the name. And then we've got more of the mica and an embellishment down there and stenciling. So lots there. And then finally in the top we have the acetate window card here. I am loving working with these. Just look, you can see her so well. Either way, when you turn around, she's still looking at you. When you want to write on here, lots of mica spray, lots of stenciling, a familiar spirit, lots of crypt paste here and down here, cheesecloth, yeah, whatever you put behind her, you're going to see. I love working with these in spooky journals because you can see through them, or whatever you put behind kind of picks up, like if I wanted to do the spider web, picks up behind. It gives me that ghostly, creepy spirit feel, you know, that you can't quite see them. So therefore, you know, they're ghosts, they're spooky, lots of threads. We've got spiders here, and I've inked this up and done like black and then this kind of orangey yellow, and yeah. Some beautiful baking paper. Again, I love using this in my journals. This has been used for inking and dyeing, so it's got all those colours, and I've done stitching on it. And then I've done hand stitching on here. And then this is just mica everywhere. Oh my goodness me. Beautiful rust dyed paper here, which I just thought worked brilliantly with this journal. And then here's where we've got the other acetate. This is actually a cat in a witch's hat, which I love. Some bug paper. And yeah, the cat's on this side or this side. And I put this spider, this isn't embossed or anything, but it's walking along here almost like a spider web, and then moving over here onto the spider web paper. That was my thought with that one. And then this is from the bottom of the flip in the other signature, because I'd torn it off. I wanted to use it. It's beautiful. It's got greens and golds and everything. We're coming to the middle of the second signature. Again, I've put Halloween and these spiders, and we open this up. I've done some stamping here. We've got skull and crossbones. We've got the cobweb. The woods grow silent when she draws near. Her touch a shiver, an omen of fear. The witch a spectre forever enshrouded in the haunted depths where the horrors are clouded. There's even a little skull there. Dun, dun, dun. And then I've added this stamp. So I've added the bottles, the word, and a little bit there. Oh, and some spiders at the top. Even I forget where I've hid some of the spiders because I've used them a lot. So This cauldron I love. Again, I really hope it's picking up. So I used green and gold and in vintage photo, but again I moved it around so you get this really mottled. It almost looks like the cauldron is tarnished, which I thought worked well. This is a double tuck. We've got palmistry card. I think this is a Tim Holtz piece of ephemera. More mica on there, and then in here, oh, these creep me out so much. I use one of these tea cards. It's a naked mole rat. These are so ugly, really ugly. I know they're very sweet, but they're really ugly, and it's got all the information on the back, and that kind of slots into the top of the cauldron, almost like they're using it in a spell, into a recipe. Got a double tuck spot here. We've got a collage journaling card with that cat again. It says beware, but really, it's too cute. This is black on the back because I thought they could use a coloured pen. That would be quite fun. And then here, if I pick this up, this is a pocket too, again with some acetate, and behind her it actually says ghastly on the vintage dictionary page. We've got lots of crypt paste, and then this is a top tuck too, so whatever you put in there we're going to see behind the witch. More rust paper. In certain places I've ripped the paper, I wired it to look like it was ripped and then fixed it with some of my tape. Whole load of mica bats. Little embellishment down here with a witch. And then again, another one of these, let me get this up. It's got green and gold on there on the baking paper. And we have those witches around the fire again with some broomsticks and Insta brew. Never chopped pestilent ingredients again or trawl around several markets to get rare roots or bones. Simply add 1 cube of magic instant brew to a cauldron of boiling water and enjoy. I thought they were fun. I just kind of like those. Some hand-dyed lined paper. We've got a beautiful raven here again. Loads of crypt paste. Loads of lightly dyed with the grey, the light grey distress stain. This is an envelope. It was a black envelope, but this I've used some of my tea bags on. You can't really see it on the front because the raven covers most of it up. But I love the effect of this with the tea bag and the black. And then I've kind of distressed the edge and everything. But I filed this down so it's basically almost completely flat so it can be written on. We've got another little embossed cobweb with a Tim Holtz piece of ephemera in there about Halloween. And then inside here we've got this like bloody hand palmistry, and it's all ripped and torn. And again, we've got another piece of my tape down here. Then this is the back of the envelope. Obviously, I've turned it into a pocket. This is all embossed. It's beautiful. We've got a mandrake advert. And then I was thinking, you know, locally people would have made up songs and things, as they often did, about the witches, like Peggotty and her crows. So I have this little piece. It's almost like it's ripped out of a book, but we've only got half of it. And I wrote, "Beware, beware the woods at night. There old Mother Peggotty and her crows take flight. Beware, beware, looking into her eyes. She will whisper a curse. Soon after, someone dies. Beware, beware." But we don't know what else to beware of because it's been torn out, and this is all we've got. Dun, dun, dun. So yeah, they had a reputation. Like I said, they were all in black. They'd be in the woods. They'd be cackling. They weren't the kind of old ladies, witches or cunning women or anything like that that you would go to because you had a toothache. They were kind you would go to if you really wanted to hex someone or get revenge on someone. Otherwise, you'd try and avoid them. We've got beautiful moths and caterpillars and things there. Love it. This is that vintage book page. Look, that bat's got babies on it. Some more crinkled paper, beautiful sari silk. We have one of these little memory decks cards, some stitching, and then this is from a tarot deck We have this beautiful, it says High Priestess, but you know, she's a witch with a cauldron in the back. And then underneath on the next page, you can see we've got some skull texture paste, but I love the way it pops out of the bottom there. It's the other side of that Samhain book. And this is, I mean, she's creepy. You can't see her either. We've got all pumpkins down here. I've put a spider coming down from the moon and added some glossed bats. And then I added extra stitching down here. I added this stamp and some stamping up there. And again, we've got old Mother Peggotty. Tell me her face does not make you a little bit creeped out. I've put spiders coming down there as well. I'm telling you, spiders everywhere. I've probably forgotten some places where I've added spiders. Beautiful cauldron here, and I've put some bats. And here we have the last acetate cutout page. Now this is like a hooded, shrouded figure, so you really can't get that many details except, you know, the shroud. And depending where you put it, she disappears almost into the flame. But you can write all around there. Look at how grungy that is. Love it. Okay, so we have a double pocket. This creepy doll thing makes me think of, well, it could be a person or it could be a puppet. I don't know. It's creepy either way. But this is magnetized and opens up. We've got Beware. And again, I've used that cobweb stencil. It opens up. And then this is a, I've forgotten the name of the brand, but this is a little journaling card from there that I thought fitted. We've got a pocket here. Then we've got the pocket up here. And we have, again, the creepy old lady. Creepy, creepy. Loads of grit paste. This is a Release the Crafting paper. Heartache, Heartfelt Sorrow. I felt like she really looked like she was sorrowful. Got a little ghost. Turn it over, and again we can see her from behind. We can see her the other side. One of these beautiful ravens that again I've used embossing glaze on, but it's that vintage photo, so it's a very pale kind of, you can really see it in real life. I don't know how it's picking up on camera. And some of my tape. She's just spooky. She's just peeking out there. More of this gorgeous paper. Now can you just see a little shadow back here? Yes, it's another spider. I loved it because you could see it behind. It's almost like when you pick something up and see one, you're like, oh my gosh. But what I've done is I've actually left the front two legs unglued on here. So it's almost like it is coming off the page. And again, that's embossed with that vintage photo. Lots of stenciling. Extra little pad of scrappy bits of paper. Another one of those beautiful ravens with the embossed vintage photo. Lots and lots. And obviously, we've got a little bit of hand stitching and some more hand stitching down here. So it does make the three. Scrapbook paper that again I've tea dyed to give it a different feel. We've got Edgar Allan Poe in here, just a little journaling card. I know these were Release the Crafting. I don't know if they've still got them, but I love these. I use them a lot in my journals. And then yeah, this is also acetate. Well, it's more like a vellum, this, not the laminator that the others are. And so this is a tag that was in there. I had it in my stash. I wanted to use it. I thought it worked in here. And we can see it through, which I love. Lots of splattered paper. Lots of mica paper. Big pocket here. So firstly, in the side, we have, again, one of these haunted houses. Love these. Ripped the edge. Again, I've circled the word rat or rats. And we've got a magpie eye there writing on the side. You can already see there is a laminator, but this is actually double. I've used one of the Tim Holtz acetate pieces that actually have like this. You can actually put your finger in. This is the ones with the holes that he brought out last Halloween. And then I've put plants through the holes. And then behind that is the laminated, scary, ghosty skeleton lady. So it's doubling up on acetate, which I love. Again, we've got some of this embossing and the word worried or tormented as by a witch. And then yes, this opens up. We've got lots of cobwebs and we have the this opens here. We've got some Tim Holtz tape and some more of my handmade tape, a little skeleton. But whatever you put behind there, let's see if I can grab something. Whatever you put behind there, you will see. Do you see? So if you've got writing behind there, you're going to see that too. But yeah, I wanted the plants to be coming out of the holes. We have this a bit. Another acetate pocket. This is one of the creepiest images. Like, it always freaks me out when I look at it. But we have these two children with creepy masks. And then again, I've used the word wicked. This is Tim Holtz paper. This has got the glaze on it. There's stitching and everything. This is the last one of these that I have in my stash. I was gifted these. Yeah, and it's the last kind of large tarot card. I left it as is rather than adding paper in that because I didn't know what the person would want to use it for. And we have a little journaling card. And again, it's by the pricking of my thumbs. Wicked this way comes. We have a cauldron, some bats coming out of it. It says warning, maybe habit forming poison. And then this actually says, you can read what that one says, with the pumpkin and the stenciling. And again, you can see that through the little girls, the creepy girls. This is from a Dracula book, so it's the graveyard. I've tea dyed it, and on the other side we've got Carfax Abbey. Some more of the Tim Holt washi. Samhain correspondences 2. Another embellishment with vintage. This has got gilding on it. It says beware. Some dyed paper. This has actually got alphabet letters on it. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's very faint. But I thought that was quite fun to add into here. The idea of spell books and things. So grungy on this side. Some stenciling in that. We have, again, the crow. Where shadows dance. The raven's beak pecks at the secrets the night won't speak. Again, I've added spiders and I've added the little stamp that says turn back now. This is the center of this signature. This page creeps me out. Look at that witch's face. I mean, I don't know. I know the person who requested this asked for creepy adult. They really like scary things. This is creepy to me. It may not be to her. I don't know. But this is creepy to me. Normally when I do witchy stuff, it's much more nature-based and gentle woman witch of the woods who's helpful to the locals. Not creepy ones with weird faces in the dark with floating pumpkins. Got another little embossed cobweb with a tag. You can write on here and here is stenciled. I've added the word witch's brew with a little spider there. Some more stenciling. The other side of that paper, we have a large Tim Holtz witch die cut. And again, I've done the same technique that I have used on the cauldron. So it's got green and vintage photo. And I've moved it so that it has this kind of texture. And then all this mica. But I've also splattered water on it for water damage. As you know, I'm sure you can really see that through the other side, and I love it. Big spider here, guys. There's a tuck spot, and I have glossed all of this, so it really shines. Creepy. We have another bat page here, again printed on tea-dyed paper to be written on, and we have Deadly Nightshade. Spend a funny night with your family and friends by offering them a glass of Bella Baker's quality drinks. Lean back and watch them dance. Make sure not to overdose, though. And again, printed on the back. Thought they were just fun. This is a napkin snake. I've used on my tape and the word hemlock because, you know. Stenciling, a bit from the kit. I've used some more tape. This does open. There's stitching. It's just fun. Another little page, got some fabric there with splatters. This pocket, I did make this ages ago, but I thought it worked with this. And I've added a little bat. And we've got the little memento mori, which again is backed with tea-dyed paper. I just love the fact that he creeps over the top, an appearance of something that only occurs at night. Reminds me of the Crypt Keeper. And then this fun tag. And again, I've circled creature on here. Obviously, it's a tuck spot here and a tuck spot here. We do have a fabric flip of lots of different materials and everything. Some of that Tim Holtz fabric. And then under there, we have a skeleton of a squirrel from a vintage book page. A little boo that you're not expecting. Another embellishment here. And again, you can see through the tinfoil, the baking paper. You can see the shadow. So I cut this out of Tim Holtz paper that's kind of reddish on the back. So this side looks red, but it's green on here. And we have our little skeleton, threads everywhere, stenciling everywhere. Love the kind of red on this orange. It almost looks like an owl or a little ghost. Beautiful paper here. We've got this double kind of pocket here. So again, crypt paste, little pumpkin, tag with a gold embossed bat on there. And then this flips. It says all trick and treat and everything there. We've got this beautiful pocket here with a moth, little moth that's got stitching and stuff on it. And you can already see the final card. So this is all about the cauldron. I've added stamping up there. I've done stenciling here. But this is our final card, our lady. There's no crypt paste on this one, but it says, you have witchcraft on your lips. I thought it very appropriate for her. We've got some tape here. We have another wax seal. This is actually a bat. It's a bat and several little bats and a moon. So we've got all that there. And again, you can write on the back of here, there's stenciled the tapes, and this is a little pocket too. But again, whatever you put behind her is going to come through. So I just love that. I love working with acetate in that way. And then we have the back, and on the back of here, I've put the number 31. I'm sure I've missed some spiders because I know I added quite a few all through. So anyway, guys, that is it. This is Old Mother Peggotty, and this is her, or the Coven's, Book of Shadows, where they've documented, I'm sure, some of their spells, their familiars, some of the members of the coven, and things like that. So that's the inside of the journal. Now let's look at the removable charm, because she did say she would like a removable dangle. This is so full of stuff, there's no way I'm going to be able to show you everything, but there is this little bottle that does have the resin bones, the Tim Holtz resin bones, and some moss. You can see the moss at the bottom, and I've just put the word crow on there. Now, are these bones from an actual crow, or let's not forget that some of her coven were called referred to as crows. We have one of the little witch images that I've put in a cabochon. We have Book of Spells. We have spiders hanging. This is some vintage Scottish beads. This is all red and green. There is another one on here somewhere. We've also got mahogany obsidian and some jasper there too. Big kind of bird skull here. I've used alcohol inks on it to kind of distress it and make it look a bit grungy. I've also used alcohol inks on this little witch's hat charm. Also on this little card that's the Fortune Tarot card. Oh, and on the snake. The snake is a pale green. I'm not sure that's picking up, but it is a pale green. This is something my friend made that I thought worked on here. We've got the key, because keys are very important in magic. And there's just so much on here. A little word that says poison, a broomstick, loads and loads of beads of all sorts. Trying to see what other charms and things. Oh, this big weird kind of faux bone skull, which I find very creepy. And also, oh, there's a little frog up there. Let's see if I can find that. And that's also, I've used green alcohol inks on the little frog. And also on here, there's a couple of buttons. Now, again, things that belonged to people, clippings, hair, teeth, but also clothing, and especially buttons. Buttons used to be, especially when they first started coming out, were quite special, so you would often keep the buttons even if you got rid of the old clothing. So I feel like the couple of buttons on here might have been taken from maybe she was asked to hex someone or something, and the buttons were used for that. There is another Tim Holtz word charm on here that I think says, oh yes, says Hocus Pocus there. And that obviously fits on to the back of the journal, but can be removed for the journal to be worked on. It just kind of looks amazing on the side. There's so many things to see. It makes great noise, you know, it's brilliant. I love it. I love these kind of dangles. Yes, so that is old Mother Peggotty and her Book of Shadows that is used by her and her Coven of Crows, so called because they're always in black and taking flight. I had a lot of fun making this. I really hope the person who is getting this enjoys it. I hope it's, I want to say creepy enough for her. Yeah, it was really hard trying to find something that I thought met the digital kit, that met that kind of aspect of creepy and witchcraft. I did add a lot of bats in different things. We all know I love bats anyway. And I'm hoping the orange is just the right shade, that it doesn't come across as too childlike for Halloween. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one, so I loved making it. Please don't forget that if you would like me to make you a journal, you can quite easily either email me or go through to the link on my Etsy, which is down below, and just reach out and if you would like a journal made, because I have made quite a few custom journals over the years for people, and yeah, this was a lot of fun to do. It really helped me get back into my crafting mojo feels. I think in the video where I was talking about tips and tricks, I said to work on something that's your favorite genre, and whilst this pushed me out of that genre a little bit because it was a bit creepier, like some of these images I did not want to look at, I also had a lot of fun because it was creepy, it was witchy, it was Halloweeny, and it had a lot of bats and cats. So anyway, guys, that is old Mother Peggotty. She will be on her way to her new home, so I hope the person who ordered her absolutely loves this journal and enjoys working in it. And yeah, as I said, you can always reach out to me through my Etsy, link down below, if you would like to request a custom journal made as well. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, comment and share if you haven't already. I apologize again for those of you who don't like spiders. There's a lot of spiders in here, but that just adds to the creep factor to me. And I'll be back again soon with another video. Until next time, guys, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having lots and lots of creepy crafty fun. Bye for now.